It was supposed to be the crowning moment of the 2025 season, but it turned into a public relations crime scene that has exposed the deepest fracture in women's tennis. Everyone is talking about Elena Rybakina's masterclass in Riyadh, claiming the biggest paycheck in the history of the sport. But the only thing the tennis establishment can see is what happened after the match point. You have seen the headlines. Rybakina Snubs CEO. You have heard the whispers about her bad attitude and her ungrateful demeanor. But late last night, tennis legend Pam Shriver didn't just whisper, she went nuclear. According to Shriver, Rybakina's refusal to stand for a photo with WTA leadership isn't just an awkward social moment. It is a betrayal of the women who built this sport from nothing. But here is the reality the headlines are missing. Rybakina wasn't being difficult, she was sending a message. This wasn't a gaffe. It was a protest against a system that she believes stole her season. So, is Elena Rybakina an ungrateful champion? Or is she the only player brave enough to stand up to a broken administration? In the next few minutes, we are answering the 3 questions flooding the forums. What exactly happened on that podium between Rybakina and the WTA CEO, and what do the deleted camera angles reveal? Why did Pam Shriver invoke the original 9 to publicly attack the tour's quietest star? And the biggest question of all, does this trace back to the tour's controversial safeguarding investigation that banned her coach, Stefano Vukov? I'm going to show you the timeline, the specific rulebook clauses, and the behind-the-scenes power struggle that turned a trophy ceremony into a war zone. Let's look at the receipts. The evidence of the snub. We have to start with the moment that broke the internet. It's Sunday night in Riyadh. Rybakina has just defeated Aryna Sabalenka to win the WTA Finals. The confetti is falling. The check is for over $5 million, literally the largest single payout in the history of the sport. Per the official broadcast feed at 9:45 p.m. local time, the trophy presentation begins. You see the Saudi dignitaries, you see Sabalenka, and you see WTA CEO Portia Archer stepping forward for the traditional leadership photo. Usually, this is automatic. We see it every Sunday. The winner smiles, shakes hands, and holds the trophy with the CEO. It's the money shot for the sponsors. It's the image that goes on the website. But look closely at Rybakina. At 15 seconds into the ceremony clip, an official gestures for her to move closer to Portia Archer. Rybakina doesn't just hesitate. She shakes her head. She physically steps back, creating a visible gap on the podium. She looks everywhere except at the CEO. If you freeze the frame at the 20-second mark, you can see the CEO lean in, attempting to bridge the gap. Rybakina rotates her shoulder away, clutching the trophy like a shield. It is subtle, but in the language of PR, it's a scream. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't shyness. According to multiple reports from journalists on site, Rybakina quietly refused the request to close the gap. The photo that went out on the wires shows a disjointed lineup, the CEO standing awkwardly alone, and Rybakina isolated on the far right. For casual fans, it looked like a mix-up. For insiders, it was a calculated rejection. But why? To understand the snub, we have to understand the explosion it caused. The Shriver explosion. Nobody took that declaration of war more personally than Pam Shriver. Less than an hour after the ceremony, while Rybakina was likely still doing her press duties, the Hall of Famer took to X, formerly Twitter, and dropped a quote that will follow Rybakina for the rest of her career. Shriver wrote, and I'm quoting the post directly, "Imagine winning more prize money in one tournament than the entire original 9 over their collective careers, then dissing the WTA CEO because the CEO has tried to ensure stronger safeguards in your sport. It's hard to imagine." Let's break down why this is so damaging. Shriver is bringing out the ultimate guilt trip, the original 9. These are the women, including Billie King Jean, who signed a $1 contract in 1970 to start the women's tour. Shriver is saying, you just won $5 million because of their sacrifice, and you can't even fake a smile for the person running their company? Shriver's argument is about institutional respect. In her view, the CEO represents the business mechanism that makes Rybakina rich. By snubbing the CEO, you're not fighting a person. You're disrespecting the platform that puts food on your table, or in this case, buys your Ferrari. But notice the second part of Shriver's tweet. She mentions stronger safeguards. This is the smoking gun. Shriver isn't just mad about a photo. She's exposing the reason for the snub. She's explicitly linking Rybakina's behavior to the tour's intervention with her coach and the ban of Stefano Vukov. To understand why a quiet player like Rybakina would stage a public protest on the biggest night of her life, we have to look at the safeguards Shriver mentioned. This is the story the tour does not want you to focus on. We need to go back to the start of the season. For years, Rybakina's coach, Stefano Vukov, was a polarizing figure. He was loud. He was intense. Commentators, including Shriver, frequently criticized his on-court manner as toxic or too aggressive. But Rybakina always defended him. She called him passionate. She credited him with her Wimbledon title. They were a unit. Then, suddenly, he was gone. According to a report by The Athletic earlier this year, the WTA provisionally suspended Stefano Vukov. But they didn't do it because of a failed drug test or a match-fixing scandal. They did it to investigate potential violations of the code of conduct regarding mental abuse and coercive behavior. Here's where it gets messy. Rybakina didn't ask for this. In fact, sources close to her camp suggest she vehemently opposed it. On March 12, she told the press at Indian Wells, "I was never mistreated. I don't need saving." But the tour didn't listen to her. Under the new safeguarding protocols implemented by the WTA leadership, the very leadership Portia Archer represents, they enforced the suspension based on third-party reports. Think about that for a second. The WTA decided they knew better than Rybakina about her own safety. Whether they were right or wrong about Vukov, the process completely alienated her star player. Rybakina feels that, as an independent contractor, she should have the final say on who is in her box. Shriver views the CEO's actions as protecting a vulnerable player from a bad situation. Rybakina views the CEO's actions as robbing her of her agency and sabotaging her season. So when Rybakina stood on that podium in Riyadh, she wasn't looking at a generic executive. She was looking at the face of the administration that banned her coach, ignored her public statements, and allegedly disrupted her rhythm for 6 months. The snub wasn't a tantrum, it was a receipt. Rybakina was telling the world, "I won this title despite you, not because of you." The safeguarding controversy, we need to go deeper into what safeguarding actually means in the WTA rulebook, because this is the engine driving the conflict. According to the WTA's official player development documentation, the tour has recently expanded its powers to intervene in player-coach relationships if they detect signs of abuse. This was a direct response to scandals in previous years where the tour was accused of doing too little to protect young players. On paper, this is a good thing. Nobody wants abuse in the sport, but the application of these rules is incredibly murky. If a player says, "I'm fine," but the tour says, "We think you're being coerced," who wins? In the case of Rybakina and Vukov, the tour won. They removed him. And this is where Pam Shriver comes back in. Pam Shriver has been one of the most vocal advocates for these safeguards. She has publicly called out coaches she deems toxic. When she sees Rybakina snubbing the CEO, she sees a player spitting in the face of a safety net that legends like Shriver sought to build. Shriver believes the tour is acting as a benevolent parent. Rybakina believes the tour is acting like an overbearing landlord. And there's another layer of tension here: the source. Many fans online are speculating that the third-party reports that got Vukov banned came from the commentary booth and the media, the exact circle Pam Shriver inhabits. If Rybakina believes that Shriver and her colleagues whispered in the CEO's ear to get Vukov fired, then Shriver's tweet isn't just commentary, it's personal. The hypocrisy check. Now, let's look at the contrarian truth that neither side wants to admit. Shriver is right about the optics. It's bad for business. The WTA struggles to get sponsorship. They struggle for TV ratings compared to the ATP. Having your newly crowned champion, the face of the sport for the next year, actively dislike the leadership makes the product harder to sell. If you want the $5 million checks to keep clearing, you usually have to play the game. You smile, you take the photo, you express gratitude. But Rybakina is exposing a flaw in the modern tour's logic. The WTA preaches empowerment. They run campaigns about strong women. Yet, when a strong woman like Rybakina makes a decision about her own team that the tour dislikes, they overrule her. And there's a massive layer of irony regarding the location. Shriver is criticizing Rybakina for a lack of ethics and respect in the middle of a tournament hosted in Saudi Arabia, a location criticized by legends like Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova for its human rights record regarding women. Fans in the comments were quick to point this out. One top comment on the viral clip read, "So you're mad she snubbed the CEO, but you're fine with where the money came from?" Another user wrote, "The WTA sold the soul of the sport for Saudi money, but Rybakina is the bad guy for not smiling?" It seems Rybakina is being held to a standard of gratitude that the tour itself is struggling to uphold. The financial stakes. We also have to talk about the money, because Shriver made it the centerpiece of her attack, winning more prize money in one tournament than the original 9 over their collective careers. This is a fact. The paycheck in Riyadh was astronomical, but Rybakina's camp would argue that she earned that money by hitting winners, not by being a PR puppet. In the modern era, players are businesses. Rybakina is the CEO of Team Rybakina. The WTA is just the event organizer. The power dynamic has shifted. In 1970, the players needed the tour to survive. In 2025, the tour needs the stars like Rybakina to sell tickets. By standing apart on the podium, Rybakina was visually demonstrating that shift. She was saying, "I am the product. You are just the suit." What happens next? This isn't over. The fallout from this snub is going to ripple through the off-season. Per the WTA rulebook, Section IV regarding player on-site offenses, players have promotional obligations. Refusing reasonable requests for photos or media participation can result in fines ranging from $5,000 up to $20,000. The CEO Portia Archer now faces a brutal choice. Option A, fine the newly crowned champion for the snub. This asserts authority, but risks a full-scale mutiny from other players who are already tired of the tour's control. Option B, let it slide. This avoids a fight, but it makes the leadership look weak and confirms that the stars run the show. Rybakina has fired the first shot. Shriver has fired the second. But the biggest loser here might be the WTA's image, which now looks like a house divided against itself. Summary. So here is the reality behind the viral clip. Rybakina intentionally created distance from CEO Portia Archer to protest the tour's interference with her coaching team and the ban of Stefano Vukov. Pam Shriver attacked her for disrespecting the original 9 legacy and the business model that funds her lifestyle, explicitly confirming that the safeguards were the cause of the tension. This is a clash between the old guard, who value duty to the institution, and the new guard, who demand total autonomy over their careers. The most important takeaway? Elena Rybakina just proved she doesn't care about being the good girl anymore. She is willing to be the villain if it means keeping her boundaries. She has signaled to the locker room that you don't have to pretend to like the boss to cash the check. If you want to understand exactly how the WTA's safeguarding rules work, the specific criteria they use to ban a coach without the player's consent, and the other coaches who are currently on the watch list, you need to watch this deep dive breakdown and the Tennis Playbook playlist right here. It explains the secret power struggle that is tearing the locker room apart. Click here and I'll see you there.